Good morning, good afternoon, wherever everyone is at. It's 12:01, so we'll give a few seconds here to see if anybody else is going to hop in before we get started. Um, Heather, I'm clicking stuff on my screen, so let me know if anything else comes up because it shouldn't, but you know how these things work.
A pink screen popped up, but the only thing I see right now is just the first slide.
Oh, okay. As long as you can only see that, then that's that's what you should be seeing. But I hope everyone's having a great Friday. It's like 59 degrees here in Greensboro, so you know, crisp and
It's
cool.
really windy here in Caldwell. Um, Happy Halloween, boo.
Boo. Oh, yeah, I don't think I'm doing too
Happy
much
Halloween
today.
from Charlotte.
Happy Halloween from Sunshine, North Carolina.
Hey, that's what I need. Sunshine. All right. Well, I'm not going to keep everyone waiting. I just wanted to see if anybody else would hop in, but they're of course welcome to. And if you want to share while we're, in the middle of the webinar with anybody, that's fine as well. So I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. My name is Cameron Lipford. I am the youth coordinator for North Carolina Families United. If you've been here before, it's hard to believe we've been doing these now for like 6, 7, 8 months, something like that. So I think I'm getting better. We'll we'll see. Unfortunately, we did have a guest speaker today, but it did not work out. So I had to take the reins and, make sure we keep the ball rolling. But I just want to thank everyone for being here and taking time out of your day. Um, Obviously, we know this is a conversation that's very important, right? And if y'all did not know, October is National Bullying Prevention Month. And bullying prevention is not only for youth, obviously, adults or any demographic can experience bullying. Oh, Heather pointed out something. It was actually the 1 year anniversary of our monthly webinars. Okay, see, I was underestimating already. Well, happy 1 year anniversary to us and anybody that's been here before. But like we said, I believe we did do bullying prevention actually last year as well. But it's such an important thing, so we definitely love to talk about it, to put the awareness out there, right? So like we said, bullying doesn't just affect schools, it affects homes, communities, and mental health. Today we're going to talk about how youth, parents, and families can stand together to build safer, kinder spaces where everyone will feel seen and supported. All right. Let me
Can I
what's going
just
on?
say, bullying can start at any age because I'm being bullied right now, by my granddaughter. She is bullying me, and I just wanted to speak out against bullying. So, thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Like I said, it could happen to anybody. All right, guys. Like I said, bear with me. I might have some technical difficulties today, but we will get there. All right, so why we're here, right? Like we talked about, we know that October is Bullying Prevention Month. So, I mean, that's the main reason why we're here, but it's not just that. It's more so we can all, like we said, have a safe space to come to share, anything if we like, any successes, any hardships, anything like that, right? We do these webinars to provide information, but we also just provide a safe space for anybody just to come to, right? So what do we know as bullying? What is it, right? It could be verbal, physical, social, cyberbullying. There's many different ways that people can get bullied. And to be honest, I believe a lot of times, especially now in this day and age, we believe that bullying is only happening, cyberbullying. We don't even, as much as we talk about, youth or young adults not having good communication skills, at least in my mind, that would probably think most people assume that people are not talking to each other anymore to the point of bullying, right? But that's just not true. I'm actually going to show a video here shortly of something that just happened this month in Bullying Prevention Month, and where a community showed up for a young man that was getting bullied at school. So we'll go into that next. but how it shows up differently for youth and adults, right? People get bullied just for being themselves, whether it's in the workspace, it could be their own family members, their own friends. Especially we hear about it with young males, right? They joke, but there's a thin line between joking and bullying, right? So that's something to definitely keep an eye out for and especially speak to young men about. And if you guys were here for our webinar in I believe it was June, or was it June or August? No, it was August, the back to school webinar. We had Mr. Elijah on here who did amazing and he was able to speak to that as a young man. Yes, go ahead, Shantae.
Hi, I just want to speak as a mom. I'm a nurse, and I'm the director of nursing for pediatric complex medical issues. But my son in middle school, we dealt with, it was very on the line of abuse within the school system. And it's so real and it truly triggered so much. And the mentality is still there with adults of boys will be boys, girls will be girls, and it's horrible, especially with all the different avenues that they have to bully. It's horrible.
Yes, thanks, Shantae. Thank you for sharing that. I can only imagine. Corey, did you want to say something? Or were you okay? You were just coming off camera, but yes, thanks for
I'd
sharing
like to
that.
say something. This
Go
is
ahead.
Diane. So this is really, I'm very compassionate about this because I have two very close friends that lost their youth, their child to bullying, with them taking their lives. And that would really pushed me to do, I was very driven to do whatever I could to prevent bullying. And what we've seen was the schools did not want to recognize that the bullying was going on. And I will share that this was in Pennsylvania when I was living there. So I think doing this today and bringing awareness, and the more that we can advocate for this, the better off we are. But it really touches me because the mom posts her son's pictures of remembrance of her son, and that's the way she is helping with her grief. And her other two children are dealing with that right now.
Wow. Yes, thank you so much for sharing that. And you know, fortunately, some of us have not had to experience that right up close, and I can only imagine. So thank you for sharing that and her story and being strong. And that's why it's definitely important, um, and not to take any spotlight away or anything like that. But like you said, there's many different ways that people get bullied simply for just being born, to the people or the demographic that they're born into or anything like that. And that's definitely something I experienced. So thank you so much for sharing that. Chante, did you have your hand up again, I believe? Yes, go ahead.
I did. My son actually ended up having to go to the hospital for a week inpatient stay because he attempted suicide twice as a result, and it started in fifth grade. It was horrible. It is such a huge issue. So my heart breaks for your friend.
Yes, Chante, thank you for sharing that. And we're, definitely here in support and with you and your son. Thank you guys so much for being vulnerable today. Thank you, thank you. So I mean that kind of leads us right into my next point about we've been saying about how important it is to build that awareness and to build the empathy that's needed to get through these things and to get our youth and young people to understand that you don't have to treat people a certain way to fit in, or you don't have to act a certain way to be accepted, right? So in a common myth that comes with that, it's just a part of growing up, right? Everybody's going to go through it, everybody's going to experience it, but like we've learned in less than 5 minutes of probably people that you don't know, on a screen, it's more than that, and it's been seen in our lives. You don't know, your neighbor, your friend, your grocery store clerk. You have no idea. how deep the effect can go. So that's that part about empathy, right? You got to approach people with that because you never know what somebody's going through and the real harm that bullying can cause, right? Um, so now that we've brought awareness to what, bullying looks like and why we need to have empathy and things like that and what we can do about it, awareness is only the first step, right? Awareness is great. And it is great that we're able to have these webinars and these informational sessions, but we need awareness to turn into action. That's really when the change starts to happen. So before I get into that, though, I do want to show the video that I had talked about. And it's a story that just happened this year. I literally, it's crazy because I actually just found it last night. And so maybe that was, it's not a coincidence. I don't believe in that. So I was just looking, you open your computer screen and it shows you like all the little news stories. And then it was like NBC News. And it was like, a community comes together for young man that's been bullied. I was like, look at this real time, a real time example. So that's what I'm going to pull up now. So give me a moment so I can share this with you all. And let me stop sharing my screen. All right. And if you guys just let me know, you should be able to hear the audio, but well, actually, I gotta double check that I have it selected. Include sound. I did not. All right. Here we go.
Island, New York, a ride to remember.
Oh my God, look how many people!
More than 100 teen riders showing up to support 15-year-old Tyler Roach Tilden after he was bullied and needed an extra boost of kindness.
New York, Long Island, be exact. Oh, that's a fact, y'all already know.
That's when Darnell Myers, a longtime rider with an online following, brought him all these new friends. And get this, he also worked with a bike store to give Tyler a new one.
How you feel about your bike?
Very good, getting used to it.
For his mom, Gina Moscato, that moment meant the world.
Gina, tell me a little bit about what it was like to see all these people showing solidarity and love for this extraordinary young man.
It just felt like I was in a dream or in like a movie. Like this stuff doesn't happen in everyday life. To see him smiling and excited and so happy in the moment, it was amazing.
A reminder that kindness can go a long way.
It might not be easy to do the right thing and be kind, but you can do it and it's worth it. It's a real superpower.
At AT&T Business, we can't.
That's how you know it's from the news, the ad. But yeah, so that's a story I literally found last night. And just even that short, few minute clip, it definitely tugged at my heart. And not only to show, how community shows up, but how many youth and young adults willingly came that didn't know this young man, but they all bonded over something as simple as riding a bike, which is another thing we think young adults don't do anymore. But so yeah, I don't know. I think that was awesome. If anybody has any, thoughts or comments on the video, please feel free to share. But I did just want to share that. And like I said, I believe that just happened October 24th, if I'm not mistaken.
That's powerful. I'm sitting here like boohoo at that. Wow. And yeah, I mean, it doesn't take a lot to just take the time out to show somebody that they care and that they matter. And what you said, Cam, is so important. You never know what other people are going through. So to just have that is just amazing. I love that.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome. All right. So like we said, right, building that action, empathy, and awareness so we can create the safer, kinder spaces for youth and families. And like the mom said, just do it. It can make a huge difference, a huge, huge difference. And you may never know. It's simple as just making sure you speak to somebody that you see, hey, how are you doing today? Have a good day. that could do amazing things for people. All right. My PowerPoint is not being cooperative.
Can I just go out on a whim and say, bullying bullying can have a lasting effect on people. It can. I've been bullied before, and I'm not proud to say that I've bullied before. I've bullied, but just because I wanted to fit in. I wanted to fit in, and I wanted to feel accepted and seen and heard. And once I realized the damage that I was doing to other people, I'm like, that's not who I am. I want friends, but I don't want friends like that, you know. And um yeah, I don't know. I did like a 180 because then I started taking up for people that was bullying or being bullied. And um yeah, it's it's easy to to do something just to fit in, but it was a lot harder for me to do something that went against the grain, but it was more rewarding for me to do that. So I'm glad I made that change when I did.
Right. And I think something that I heard last night as well, because just scrolling, doom scrolling as they would say, but a young a young kid, really, because it was a young kid, had told his parents basically like, I I need you to tell me what I'm not allowed or not supposed to do because I keep getting in trouble for things I didn't know that I was doing wrong. And I do think that's another thing that young adults or young kids or or we have lacked in trying to instruct them to understand, like, teasing a person is bullying, or calling out their shoes or hair, or anything about them, like really teaching them what bullying is, right? So I think that's a lot of times where disconnect comes, because I do think there is unfortunate situations where somebody may get labeled a bully, but also a lot of times we know too they could just be lashing out because of their own hardships and things like that that they're going through. So just really making sure, having these conversations, at a young age, and saying, like, this is the difference between this is what is okay, this is what's not, so they know, because just like Corey said, I believe all of us probably at one time in our life unfortunately did bully somebody and may not have even known, understood, or really grasped the effect that it could have, honestly, until we probably experienced it ourselves, or somebody we love, experienced it. So and like we said, I'm not gonna, stick on this. We all know the difference, the different types of bullying that are there, and that can happen, right? And unfortunately, like I said, I do think our society is a little blind to cyberbullying just because of how prevalent it is. But yes. So why is bullying important to prevent, to right, to take action against? Because we know, like we just talked about, one of the main things for sure is it affects mental health and self-esteem. um like I kind of touched on earlier, at least for myself, coming from, I was born in South Dakota, so if anybody knows anything about South Dakota, there's nothing there but Mount Rushmore, and rolling hills, all that other stuff, right? So, and then I moved to North Carolina, all the way on the other side of the country, and just where I came from, learned how to speak, my dialect, all those type of things. As soon as I came to North Carolina, I was questioned, oh, you think you're better than us because you talk like this or you act like this. And I'm like, I don't even know how else I'm supposed to conduct myself. This is how I was raised, right? This is where I came from. I can't control that. And, obviously with time, I came, to inherit some of the North Carolinian ways, the Southern ways as well. So, but that was just, a little example for me, right? Of something I couldn't control, of where I came from, who I was, right? It wasn't even like I'm being bullied for the common things we might hear, right? Somebody maybe being overweight, or, any of those other things that we hear about for young adults. So that's just a little bit about, my story. But
Mine was
yeah,
similar. Mine was similar. We moved
yeah,
into a new neighborhood, and I couldn't control where we lived. I
yeah,
couldn't. I was getting bullied every single day when I got off the bus. Every
right.
single day. And it just got to a point I'm like, I used to wear my hair in braids. I used to wear my hair in braids and beads, and my mom, I wouldn't say anything. And my mom would take my hair down and notice clumps of hair that was coming out
Right.
because I didn't want to say anything. I was excited that we had a bigger house and I had my own room. Who was I to say I'm getting bullied because of where we live? A lot of times kids they don't want to say anything because it's going to make their parents sad. So I just didn't say anything until the woman knocked on the door and said, "Your daughter beat my son up." And my mom said, "What?" And I'm like, every day when we got off the bus, I was getting bullied. I was getting this and and I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't. I didn't know what else to do. I mean, when we walked to the store, we would get rocks thrown at us and called names. And, it was sad and it was scary because I didn't have friends here.
Right.
It was a scary time. So,
How are you doing today?
oh, today I'm great. I still live in the same house, and I think I'm the only one that lives here that was here from before, but it was scary. It was a scary, scary time, I'm the baby of 8, and so I had a lot of nieces and nephews that would come over, and they were more my age, and it was times where we would feel like we was fighting for our lives. But I my heart, that is what started turning in my heart because I always try to put myself in other people's situations. Everybody doesn't have a big support group, or people to turn to. I had cousins and friends and things. Everybody doesn't have that. That's what made me start looking at other people, not looking at me, but looking at other people. That's what made me make a change about bullying because, you know, once I beat that person up and took control, I was like, yeah, because I'm big and I'm tough and I'm this and I'm that and I don't have to deal with it anymore. And I didn't want to become what they had done to me, you know? Um, but at first I did because it was like, yeah, I don't have to take it. I don't have to this and I don't have to that. And I wanted them to feel the pain that they had put me through, but it didn't feel good to me to do that. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, but other people aren't like that. Some people aren't like that. Some people may take it and run with it. But yeah, a lot of times children or youth can't they may suppress that because they don't want to rain on their parents' parade that yeah, we got a nice house or a nice car or something or better clothes or better shoes, and they may get bullied for it, or it could be reversed. So what I would say to that is, as a parent, always keep that line of communication open to your children so they feel comfortable coming to you, because my mom was a single parent and there was no way that I was going to tell her that us moving into a nicer home was causing me pain. There was just no way. So
Mm. Yeah, that's an amazing, amazing point. Thank you for sharing that story. And Shante, I see your comment. I listen, even though I've been here for over more than half my life, I still have people who know that I'm not from here, and so they'll be like, "Where are you from?" Or they still hear that northern, western sound in my voice, or know that I'm, Native American. They're like, I can't quite figure out what difference you are, but there's something different about you. And I'm like, yeah. But I like that. I want to have that. I want to keep that. It's me, it's where I'm from as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy that just as adults, we're still dealing with it. I mean, can't say that anyone's been nasty or disrespectful or
Right.
condescending, but literally I've been in places and in facilities where people will walk on the other side of the hallway as me and leave you out of chats, and it's all because you didn't grow up in this area. And I mean, everyone thinks that when you're from the north, you're not as kind, and it's really hard to get accepted when you move in and try to fit into relationships that have been there your whole life. And so I get it. I get it.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing that, because that is absolutely true. And that's why, like, even, on the slide here how it talks about leads to isolation or school avoidance, I think that's the same for adults as well, right? I know in certain spaces or certain places where I'm gonna have to probably show a different face or kind of put on a different facade maybe. And it's like you don't want to have to do that. And it's unfortunate, because I will say another thing about me. This is not everybody. I am very non-conflict, non-confrontational. I would diminish myself as much as possible as long as everybody is happy, because that's just how I am. So that's another issue I have. But yeah, it's not only for youth, like we said, it is for adults as well. And like we said, it doesn't only impact the individual, it impacts the whole family, the whole community. And so that's why we talked about we need awareness to go from action, and everyone plays a role in prevention.
I just
Um,
feel like sometimes I feel like girls are mean. I know you said
yeah.
I know you said young boys, but sometimes it feels like girls are meaner, you know? We lived here in North Carolina pretty much most of my, youth, all of my youth I lived here. And then we moved to Colorado when my children were in the 3rd and 5th grade, I believe. We moved. It may have been a little younger. We came
Mhm.
back, and some of the same kids that my kids grew up with, they treated, now my son didn't have an issue whatsoever, but the girls were absolutely brutal to my daughter.
Yeah.
Absolutely brutal. And she, like you, Cameron, is very non-confrontational. Very, she's gonna find something nice to say about anybody.
Everyone. Yeah.
But she just had the hardest time. And I'm like, as a mom, as a mother, as a mama bear, you will do any and everything to protect those around you that you love. And it's hard. It is so
Yeah.
hard. But I feel like girls are just brutal.
Yeah, I did say that boys joke, and they think that it can't be bullying. Girls will just be straight up. They ain't got a joke. So that was the difference I was saying there. Um Yes, unfortunately, that obviously can be very, very true. But once again, I think for me, and like where I'm, and this is where I'm at as an adult now, and it's taken a lot of work. And obviously, kids are not gonna, or youth are not gonna understand this until they're older, like we said. Most of the time, it has nothing to do with the person they're bullying. It's about the person that's doing the bullying. And now, we know that now. And even when we say those things, we think, or like we hope that would make us feel better about ourselves. But honestly, it doesn't really change, right? You're still like, okay, that's great. Like, I guess I feel bad for them, or, I hope that their life gets better, but like, I'm still here, right? So it's okay to acknowledge those things. Just don't make it an excuse, is at least how I look at it.
Yeah, and I just want to share, my son was bullied by this one um, person. We'll call him Mike. And my son took it. But here's what happened. My son became an adult as well as this other individual. And here they would meet each other in a boxing match. My son would knock him out. And when he came to, my son said, just remember this. Let this be a lesson. It's a shame that we had to do this, that we had to meet in a boxing ring, but never ever bully another person again. So he said that. But I mean, the boxing match was legit and everything like that. And my son didn't even know he didn't even know who the other person was going to be in the boxing ring. But isn't that something?
Yeah.
Something that he held on to and
Wow.
taking it until that day. And the people just applauded my son because of the words that he had shared with the rest of them. And they thought that was empowering.
Yes.
Yep.
That's
That's very
amazing.
empowering. And you know
Isn't it?
what?
Yep,
My daughter the same way. My daughter, the
yep.
very person that bullied her in school, my daughter ended up, I used to be a property manager, and my daughter ended up being a property manager under me at another location. And the very person that bullied her the most had to come and ask my daughter to move into an apartment. And, and I told my daughter, I said, now, I know with everything in you, you want to get your payback. I know because I got my payback. I remember I got my payback. But I'm going to tell you to be the bigger person. And trust me, it's much, much harder for that person to have to come to you and ask you for something now. And you have an opportunity to do the right thing because your mom did not do the right thing. So I need you to try your best to do the right thing. And I left it at that. And she thanked me. She said, Mom, that was both fulfilling and the hardest thing I probably did. Everything in her wanted to be like, no, you can't move in. But she said it was good for me. So if that's one thing I could say, tell your children, you never know who you're going to meet when you get older. And you might need that person. So you want to treat everybody the way you want to be treated because you never know in life who you're going to meet up with. And if you treated them well in the past, then they will remember that, but they will also remember if you treated them wrong.
Right. Yes, that is very true. Thank you guys so much for sharing all these real life stories because that's really, like I said, what these webinars are about to see how it impacts people in everyday life. Diane, thank you so much for sharing that because I think that's an amazing. Like I said, I don't think anything's ever a coincidence that your son was able to one endure that and then be able to have that type of you know I guess you would say I don't want to say redemption, but but situation come along to where he could be the bigger person, but still be able to show like I can stand up for myself, right? So I think that was amazing, and there's actually programs and things out there like that that do those things. That like, hey, if you have an issue with somebody, you can come to our boxing gym. Have a legit fight and either squash it all. Whoever wins the fight after this, it's over, regardless. And if it has to come to that, at least it's in a productive, safe environment. You got people there that can, take care of it. Because unfortunately, that is just some people, that's what it comes to. And as I say, young men, because I know that's what I have my experience with. I have a younger brother. He's 21. So I've had to understand that sometimes that's just how men handle their differences. And as women, we may not understand it or not be something that we're not used to, but older men at least, obviously young men, I'm not condoning any fighting, but I'm just saying it's another outlet. And I know like my younger sister, she's in jujitsu now, and she unfortunately had a lot of struggles with bullying. So that sports, and I know for me sports especially because I play basketball and other things, it's another way for young adults and youth to have community, to have people they can trust. Sorry you guys if you hear the dog barking, we have a chihuahua and they bark at any and everything, so but yeah, sports, I think, and I know in our family, especially where I come from, has always been a very big outlet and a very big way to have community around. Because, like Corey spoke, we don't, everybody doesn't have the family and the friends and other things like that. But if you're able to get into spaces with like-minded individuals, that's one way to start, right? But yes, Diane, I saw your comment there about about the daughter being bullied on social media. Yeah, unfortunately, that is situations we see as well, where the parents are just as bad as the youth, and obviously, we know where it ends up coming from, and at that point, you kind of just got to do what you can to support, your youth or the youth that is going through it, and hopefully later in life, a whole family will grow up a little bit. So, but like we said, one of the most powerful things youth can do is use their voice, whether that's checking in on a friend, right, reporting something harmful online, or standing up when they see something being said or done that's harmful. And as for families, prevention starts at home. creating space for open, honest conversations and reminding youth that their feelings are valid, right? Like Corey spoke about. But speaking on that point as well, because I do think that, I'm not a full-on parent, but like I said, I have younger siblings. I do think that even if, a youth trusts their parents, it's more a lot of times sometimes can be about, not wanting to disappoint them, like especially if you've had parents that have had the conversation with you, like stand up for yourself, or stand up for other people, and you yourself are feeling like you're not, doing it. May not even necessarily be because you don't want to put more on them. It's more you may be disappointed in yourself. And so that's another thing I think that can happen. So it's not that you don't trust your parent, right? It's just more that you want to do it yourself, and you can be disappointed in yourself. And we know how all that is. A lot of times they say, right, you got to let people make their own mistakes, right? So yeah. But as when it comes to the bullying prevention that we talked about and where it can start is, right, we got to recognize the signs of bullying, and be able to respond with care and build those supportive environments that we talked about. Now, I have a video from 12 years ago, but it's still relevant. And it is for a little bit more for younger audiences, but I am going to play it because it's something you guys can share with youth
Hey
and young
Cam,
adults.
before you play,
Mhm.
can I share, it kind of goes along with this slide we have up right now.
Yeah.
Like as a parent or a caregiver or a family member, or some whatever supportive role you play in a youth's life, you can tell when something's going on, right? And you can go to them and you can ask them, hey, what's going on? And they may not feel trustworthy or whatever it is to share, kind of like hitting on like what Corey and Cameron said. If that's the case and you don't want to ignore those signs, find someone, if it's a younger family member, a peer, or somebody that can go to that person, somebody that's trustworthy, and say, hey, I've recognized X, Y, and Z is changing in my son or my daughter. Will you please try to talk to them? It could be an aunt, it could be somebody outside of their parent, it could be a mentor, a counselor at school, somebody, but definitely send somebody, and just try and try, because that's the last thing you want to do as a parent is no, I'm trying everything I can to get through, and just having some type of support system if you can't be that support person for them. So that's all I wanted to share.
Thank you, Heather. Yes, that's very powerful. Very, very powerful. All right. So this, like I said, is a YouTube video. It's by Ned. Ned shows. It's, let's see, how long is it? Just 4 minutes. So just let's take a look at this video. And like I said, you guys are welcome to share. I'm gonna send these resources out once the webinar is over as well. Yeah.
Hi there! My name is Zed the Squarehead, and I know that there's a champion in every kid. Big kids, small kids, two-eyed, three-eyed, four-eyed kids, doesn't matter. There's definitely a champion in all kids, but sometimes we forget that. Sometimes a kid will try to feel cool or strong by choosing to be mean to those who are smaller or weaker than them. They might pick on people who can't do or say anything back. They might do it over and over too. Have you ever seen that happen? Well, that kind of behavior is called bullying, and it's not cool. But you can do something to stop bullying as it's happening. If you know a few tricks, then you can actually choose to stop the meanness right in its tracks. You can choose to stand up to bullying, and you can be an upstander. Pay close attention to this scene. Here's the playground, and here's the bully who's trying to feel cool by picking on this guy, Tar. Now here's a bystander. A bystander is someone that sees bullying happen and doesn't know what to do. And back here, we have Ned. Ned's going to start off a bystander, but when the bullying starts, he does know what to do. He's going to choose to be an upstander. Ned's going to stand up to bullying. And when he does, He chooses from 4 upstanding options. 1. Be a buddy. When Ned sees Tar getting bullied, he shows Tar that he has a friend. Bullies aren't used to their targets having a buddy. It could change everything. 2. Interrupt. When the bullying starts, Ned finds a way to interrupt. Here, he interrupts by asking Tar to come and join him at the electroball hoop. When Ned interrupts, he gives Tar a reason to walk away from the problem. 3. Speak out. This one takes tons of courage. Here, Ned faces the person who is bullying and says, "That's mean. Don't do that." By speaking out about what is happening, it shows that meanness is not welcome. It also gets other people to look, and they might join as upstanders too. 4. Tell someone. Whether it's during the bullying or after it, Ned's going to choose to tell an adult about it. This is not tattling because he's not trying to get someone in trouble. He wants to keep someone safe. It takes courage and hard work to be an upstander. But by being an upstander, you'll be an awesome friend to someone when they need it most. And the letters in Ned's name can help. N. Never give up on helping your school to be safe. E. Encourage others to be upstanders with you. D. Do your best with all the upstanding ways that you can use to stop bullying at your school. If you know the N, E, and D in Ned's name, you'll probably choose to be upstanding whenever you see bullying. When bullying takes place, you'll make a champion choice to be a buddy, or interrupt, or speak out, and also tell someone. If you do any mixture of those things when you see bullying happen, you'll go from being a bystander to being an upstander at your school.
All right. So I know a little elementary, but even then, I still think it highlights the simple things that even us as adults could do, right? And like I talked about children needing instruction to know when they're doing something wrong. So a simple video, 4-minute video like that you could show to a youth or a young adult to give them a better understanding, of something that they may have already seen going on and they just didn't know what it was, didn't know how to be a supporter. Because another thing, the bystander effect is really, really, really real. I watch a lot of YouTube, because that's just what I like to watch. But they do, a lot of science experiments on there where they'll have, certain people who might act homeless or, might need something or whatever, something might be going on. Or what's that show called? What Would You Do? Right? Or something like that. And it's very intriguing to see the way that different people react to situations, right? But I know that I never want to be, a bystander. I don't ever want to have the opportunity to, do one simple thing, whether it's a word, an action, or whatnot, to be able to be there for someone, a stranger, a family member, a friend, it doesn't matter. That's how I feel. So that was just a little video I wanted to share with you all. And so let me get the slides back up here. And thank you guys just once again for being here and being engaged in this conversation that we have, because it's very important, like we've expressed a couple of times. All right. So, obviously the video kind of talked about really what my transition is here, using our voice safely, checking in on our friends, reporting bullying, and choosing kindness for youth, that is. And I will say something I can champion is RAP is something, wellness recovery action plan. If you guys have not heard of that, you can find it online. You can also probably find a free training if that's something you'd be interested in taking. But wellness recovery action plan not only teaches you how to, take care of yourself, but I think in that, it teaches you how to identify people that you trust and other things like that. And I think having a plan in place for the people around you to know, because even if you have a close friend or a close family member who unfortunately maybe isn't the person that you would choose to talk to, if they know who could probably get through to you or who could help you, like Heather said, just any resource to try to have is a really good thing because you can get to that quickly. And that's another thing that people don't understand, not only about bullying, right, but life in general and mental health. It's never really going to go away. Like we just talked about, we're both, or we're all adults on here, right? And probably all different ages. And even now, 2025, at the grown adult ages we are, we're still experiencing these things. So it's learning how to manage and cope them with them, right? And just continuously get better, focusing on yourself and then also being able to support other people. So that's really where that choosing kindness matters comes as well. It's about what's important here. All right. So not only for the speaking out part, sometimes you don't really even have to say anything. You could just listen. And I know that's hard for a lot of us, right? We always want to have something to share, or say or whatever. But I think something I've learned to try to do, and I don't do this all the time either, but I want to get better at it, is when somebody comes to me getting ready to vent or whatnot, I'm like, okay, do you want me to just listen or you want to talk? So I can kind of know how to approach a situation. And something I'm, oh my gosh, so bad at is space and dead air because it makes me start feeling very anxious and nervous when it has nothing to do with me. So learning how to just let people have space. So another training plug I can put in there is motivational interviewing, stuff like that. It really teaches you how to allow people to have that space and how to show up for youth and young adults in conversation, especially with the way that we know things have changed, understanding lingo and stuff like that. Maybe I'll do a webinar on, all the popular youth sayings and lingos right now for our parents and caregivers and things like that. Because I will say another shameless plug, next month is National Caregivers, Family Caregivers Month. And I fall into that role because I'm not a traditional caregiver as far as a parent. I'm a sibling that takes care of my younger siblings. So highlighting that as well and the things that come with that. We're going to be talking about that next month, so don't miss the webinar for that. But listen without judgment, right? Like Heather said, notice those changes in mood and behavior. Work with the schools and community partners that you know of, which I'm going to share some resources after the webinar that we have in the state and also across the country that are accessible for youth and also for parents to utilize, right? Encourage open and safe conversations. So, the big scary, right? Our number one enemy, at least we think, cyberbullying, right? Acknowledging today's digital world and being able to offer guidance to our young people and honestly ourselves because we all use, or at least most of us use, some type of form of social media. May not be at the same rate, the same amount, but the same thing, right? So what does cyberbullying look like? Spreading rumors, exclusion, fake accounts, group chats. I'm gonna be honest, y'all, there's probably like over hundreds of apps, you know what I'm saying, that maybe even thousands, that people can just freely put information out there and they don't have to have, a picture or a name or anything that actually matters. So people just can spew as much information as they want to. So unfortunately, that's kind of where we're at, right? Um, I I don't know how effective it is as far as I guess you would say exclusion, but the group chats thing, or like even the iPhone, versus Android kind of stuff, like just simple things like we talked about that people cannot control, unfortunately it comes with cyberbullying as well. We don't think about that. Setting healthy digital boundaries. So something I just recently started doing this past month, and if you don't know this, speaking of iPhone, you can turn on sleep mode on your iPhone to start at a certain time every night or day so you can better, try to get better sleep is the point. Your notifications aren't going to be making noise. It dims your screen automatically so you're less inclined to pick up the phone because the screen's not so bright. And it's definitely something that has worked for me. You can also look at screen time. So with technology has come bad things and good things, because you can also track your screen time on your iPhones, and there's also a lot of apps where you can, as a parent, also control your youth or young adults devices for them to turn off at a certain time, or things like that, so you can help them be better with that kind of stuff as well. Report and block harmful content and model positive online behavior, because if Joey's mom, if Joey overhears his mom saying, "Oh, say you're Kathy, was on Facebook talking about this, talking about that," and then you think your children are not, not going to be drama inclined or inclined to go on what they would be, TikTok or Instagram or whatnot, and talk bad about this person. Oh, because my mom did it, so what's wrong with that, right? And another thing is, or they say children are always watching. We may think they're not, right? Like they say, but they definitely are always watching. Um, and there's also another thing is there's a lot of good free mental health apps that are good for these kind of things, and will also just send you daily affirmations. Like you don't even have to do anything. It just pops up on your screen to start your day well, and hopefully maybe kickstart you to make sure you're treating yourself well, so you can in turn treat everyone else well. Which, like I just said, right? We got to start with us. We can't bully ourselves, and I'm sure that sounds crazy to think that we can't do that. It's definitely possible. Like Corey said, even a baby can bully us. So, but yeah, we have to develop self-worth and coping skills, like I already talked about. So a lot of these things are going to continue to tie in together. It's not about a one fixes all, or the same thing isn't going to work for everybody, and that's not really the whole point. The whole point is just to build your resources, build your toolkit, build up your armor, because the fight's never going to stop. You're just going to have better armor each time. That's the goal, right? So just developing those self-worth and coping skills, joining the peer support groups. And I believe Diane had put one in there about Shelby, our youth groups, but there is a lot of groups out there that people are just not aware of and don't know how to contact. And that's actually something that we're getting ready to start being more intentional with, is sharing how you guys can get involved in not only support groups, but the community collaboratives and work groups and policy work groups. There's school-based mental health subcommittees. There's so many different things, and I understand that maybe you think it's not your forte, or you think it might be boring, but it's important. It's important, even if you go to one, just to at least see the kind of conversations that are going on, and to know the things that are happening, within our school systems and stuff like that, right? Practicing empathy and gratitude, like we talked about, and celebrate progress, not perfection. There is no finish line, right? It's always going to be about the work. It's never going to be about the destination. So that's how we have to look at life. Okay, Shantae, I see your message here. Learning from families with medically complex children who are struggling and feel so many options that people do not know about. That is very, very correct. And, we used to have a lot more support groups with North Carolina Families United, at least within the counties. But I know that there are several ones, and we do offer, which I'll talk about for youth, we have youth groups for the different ages, and then Youth Move North Carolina as well, that we're definitely trying to get some more participation with. But I will share those resources. Like I said, I have a whole list of resources I'm going to send out once this. Yes, there is a resource list. Yes. And then Shantae, if any of the resources are needed, I'm definitely, available to meet with you one on one to kind of see what all, we can point you in the right direction to, if we have anything we can offer, anything like that. Okay. Yes, anyone is definitely welcome to reach out. I'll have my contact information at the end of. Okay, NAMI will start a support group for against bullying, parents against bullying. That would be awesome. Yes. So we definitely all should connect. So yeah, and I think Heather had put it in the beginning, but if you haven't shared your, name or your contact information in the chat, like an email or something, please go ahead and do that if you'd love to connect with, anyone else that is on the webinar. And like I said, we'll be doing these monthly, so definitely come back to them as much as you can. And also another thing is we need speakers. So if you are passionate about something, or you want to you have a topic you want to talk about, a webinar you would like to do with us, we are open to having you guys come on as well. Because I'll be honest, guys, I like doing this, but I really like it when other people talk more and I can just be here. So, and and learn new things. So, but yeah, if you guys want to ever interested in speaking, please let me know. So, like I talked about, Youth Move North Carolina is youth empowerment advocacy group. Now, Youth Move National, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of them, but it's a national group. Unfortunately, I will say Youth Move National itself has lost, a lot of funding with things that go on, and as well as within our own communities. So that is a little more difficult, but we have the virtual meeting spaces. We're definitely trying to get out in the communities more, in the schools more, as we've done a lot of successful events, at least in Caldwell County, mostly because that's where our office is located. So that's where we do a lot of things. But if you guys look on our website, there's information about Youth Move, and there's also like registration form, and I'm going to be sending that out with the resources as well. But just finding spaces for youth to do things, right, to get out of the house, to get their frustrations out if they're not into the traditional sports, or maybe other after school programs, and even if they are. So with Youth Move, it offers opportunities for leadership and advocacy as well, connection, belonging, and purpose. And Corey, go ahead.
No, you're doing a great job. I just want to, yes, our office is located in Caldwell County, but we are statewide. And what
Yes.
Cameron is saying is very true. We, we're a small organization. We cannot be everywhere, but if you know of an organization or, a topic or anybody that's willing to speak on certain things, please get in touch with Cameron. She's doing an awesome job. Cameron or Heather, they're doing an awesome job. And, our purpose is to get the information out there. So it's not it's not about us. It's about getting the information out there to help individuals. So please let us know.
That's correct, Sean. And Shantae, that's awesome. Like I said, I'll get with you. And once again, we do have a form. If you look on our social medias or on our website, that you can fill out or send to somebody that may be interested in being a speaker. And it just has a few simple things on it to kind of know, what they might want to talk about and connect with them if we haven't before. So yeah.
Cameron, this is Diane Chrysanda. So we would be interested from the National Alliance of Mental Illness. Everything we do is for free, but we be willing to present as well virtually. And
Okay.
we have a lot of different things that we can present on.
Yes, I love them.
So I could, give you a list, and I think it's great that all these individuals are here. I believe I also took a training through United Family members with Gail back when at Partners Health Management in Gaston
Yeah.
County.
Yes. Yes. Well, yes, thank you so much. And I love NAMI. I've gone to a lot of the webinars that you guys put on, and the talk spaces, and all the amazing speakers that you guys garner. So yes, we would love that. Definitely be interested. And I'm sure you did. Corey can tell you more about Gail. I was not, really here with her, but yes, you definitely did then if you came across Gail.
Yeah, and we work a lot together. Gail's now with the National Federation of Families, and but we work with a lot with NAMI. I did a couple of trainings with NAMI. The NAMI in, I think Boone is the closest one to us. So
Yeah.
I think it's High Country, but yes, we work a lot together. So we are
Oh
very
yeah,
open to doing
High
that.
Country's good. Yeah, you're so very welcome.
Awesome. Well, guys, it is 12:59, so I don't want to keep anybody too long, but like we talked about, together we can make a difference, right? So let's make that awareness go to action, and then impact. Stand up, speak out, reach out. Thank you for joining. Like I said, this is our website here. This is my email address, and then on all social media sites. And you can feel free to reach out to me or Heather, Corey, any of us. And as we close today, I just want you to remember, awareness is where it starts, but action is where it grows. Thank you for being here and showing up, not only for yourself and your families, but for your communities, and choosing to be a part of this movement. Like I said, if you'd like to connect or learn more about our programs, just reach out to us or visit our website. and I will be sending out those resources. I hope you guys have a great, amazing rest of your Friday and weekend. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And
Happy
if anybody
Halloween.
has
Be
any,
safe.
right, be safe, please, if you guys are doing anything. I'm staying
Thank you
inside,
so
so.
much for your excellent presentation. I really enjoyed this. I look forward to us working together. You take care, but thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you.
Yes, Diane, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. All right.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, thank you. All right, I'm gonna end.